you're gonna find out that jumping on is a lot easier than jumping off. Wow!
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know. The air is unfit to breathe. Our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. We are here again, guys. Another episode of ThinkStopper. I just want to say thank you so much for everybody for tuning in, hanging out, sticking with us. We have had a bit of a hiatus. We have recorded an episode. We did an episode with the tinfoil hat with Sam Tripoli, and we've just had a little bit of delay on getting that out because we were asked to do such. But it's been a while anyway, so everything's all in the clear. But we'll be getting that out. But guys, yeah, thank you. We had a little bit of a we had a little bit of a delay, but the ThinkStopper podcast, with ThinkStopper, we're back at it. It was basically what it was. It was too fucking hot to be up in here in the summertime, even with the air conditioner we had. I mean, we had some grueling days this summer, but it was too freaking hot. Even Mikey, he was saying, he was like, "Yo, dog," he goes, I don't think this week will be a good week. He's like, the little AC's not holding down the room. He's like, I'm having to meet my clients other places. So, so you know who it is? It's me. It's Trez Mala, your boy, back at it, doing it again. And Mikey Slyman, he's not feeling too well. He took the night off, and we were supposed to meet yesterday, but I had a couple of responsibilities that needed attending to with the fam bam, and wasn't able to pull it off. So we were able to do it, pull it together today with our guest. But Mikey couldn't make it because, well, we got some weather coming in, and he said he's got a bad headache, so don't want him here with that kind of little deal. Don't want no headache energy and shit. But Mikey had also a little run-in. He had a little run-in with some health, too. He was in the hospital for a little bit, but he's doing better. And then when he got out of the hospital, his fucking house flooded. Some busted pipe in his kitchen. So he's been having a little run, so I'm sure he's going to be happy to get back when he can. But yeah, you know what it is. I'm your boy Trez, and we got our guest here tonight. He's been on the show. He's been on the podcast a good handful of times, and it's always good to have him back. But we were talking on the internet, and a couple things got us a little fired up. We wanted to have a chat about it and talk about some other things. But welcoming back King O, KO over here.
What's going on, everybody? KO.
My man. How you been, dude?
I've been good, busy with work, doing the do, just out there seeing the things other people don't.
Yeah, that's for sure. And you're able to, have we got into a little backdrop on what you do so people know, a little refresher on that?
I'm a private investigator. However, I am appointed to quite a few, almost all state cases, so I do primarily criminal defense investigations. I've handled federal cases as well as state cases.
So you get like you said, you get to see the shit that people don't.
Yep.
That a lot of people don't. And here's one of the things, when I go off the rails and I talk about things and I get into, I'll mention about the symbolism that I know when I see stuff. I'm like, oh, that's satanic. Oh, that's, that's some, NWO shit or whatever. You can just see what's going on. And people like, oh, you're crazy. That's nuts. Da 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 da. Well, then I got guys like KO and Mikey and some other people who actually know the inner workings of these things, because they actually see it firsthand in their line of business. And that, it doesn't take a genius to see it. You just got to know what you're seeing. But to have them, guys like this come up and be like, "Oh no, you are correct, sir." That wasn't like, that wasn't your normal like gang hit. That wasn't like your normal assassination. There was like something else there. There's a message. There's always something. So that's why I always love talking to KO, because I don't feel as crazy. I don't feel as crazy after like saying some shit, and then it's backed up with like, well, this has happened in other cases, or this has happened before in history.
Well, it is a crazy world we truly live in, and they design it so that way people question, or you question your own sanity. And you've brought up this point before where the general public, they may not believe in the symbolism or this occultism, but the people in power, almost all of them, you look at all the rich, powerful people, the wealthiest people in the world, the ones in power, all of them believe in that kind of spiritualism, occultism.
100%. 100%.
So there's got to be something to it.
Yeah, and even if it's not outright like into the dark arts, the black magic, and into that stuff, it's hidden within their religious stuff. They're a part of these other clubs, these other secret societies or fraternities, if you will, and they operate in secrecy. But I just like you said, I always tell people, man, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not true, or just because you're not doing it doesn't mean others, just because you wouldn't doesn't mean that they would, that they wouldn't, because they do, daily, and this is very vague what we're talking about here, but this is a general scope about anything, you know what I mean? Like, and when I say general scope about anything, but when you get in, I'm going to get like nefarious, but when you get into like, these ritual sacrifices of kids, or you get into this, this slaughtering of innocent people, when innocent blood is shed, that these are like occult. There's like a lot of occult symbolism. There's like these harvest seasons, or like these blood this stuff, and and I just want to put it out there. When I talk about this stuff, other people have done this work. I'm just commentating on what has already been presented before me, and it makes total sense because you keep seeing it repeated over and over again. So why wouldn't it be true when there's physical evidence and there's also a history of following? It's kind of like, just real quick, not to be on like a rant, but when you follow the history of the day 9/11, and you'll see there's been a lot of like crazy events that happen on there, or days of declaration, and one of them being when President Bush did the thing when he talked about the here comes the rise of the new world order, 1,000 points of light, and here's another significant day, and if you think about it, when you get into symbology and stuff like that, deeper into more of a cult, but September 11th, 1936 was the very first day power generation at Hoover Dam. I mean, that's a very significant thing. It fired up on that day of all days, and you know what I mean? It all, when you think about it, when it comes to these occult rituals and stuff, it all comes down to energy.
Absolutely. When you go to the Hoover Dam, you see monuments to the occult. There's
and I see it daily.
Right. They have the zodiac.
They have the signs of the zodiac out there. Yeah.
And then I don't know if those are statues of angels or demons, but they have it so they're looking over everybody.
They're called the winged figures of the Republic, and it goes back to ancient symbolism, and it goes into the twins. But the best I can equate it is like they're a version of those. And the reason why they have the wings up like that is because they're about ready to give that, they have that upward thrust, and they're about ready to like push off, that's going to thrust them up into the air. The dam was supposed to be the launch into the modern era, right? Well, remember the never-ending story when you had to go through when they had to go through that little tunnel where they had the two like winged figures on the side? That's kind of like what they're saying. The idea behind them is to oversee the dam and protect the flags. And if you see the flags that are right there, they have the Bureau of Reclamation banner and the thing. Oh, and real quick, I just want to give a shout out. I hope they're listening. I had these lovely guests from Canada on my tour, and gosh darn it, right now I forget their freaking names. I'm going to type it in on the thing. Ladies, thank you so much. I hope you've made it into this far in the podcast. I might just go back, but yeah, thank you for everything. We had a great time on the tour, but sorry, yeah, this is my ADD. But you were going to show me over here.
All right.
What we're looking at are pictures of Hoover Dam. So we just we're kind of like going off a little bit on like some symbolism, but one of the things is it's not necessarily signs and symbolisms, but there's also like the call cards, the way things are done. That is the symbolism. So it's layered like crazy. Certain words.
Numbers.
Certain words, it's certain numbers, certain things, and you're like, oh, what is it? It's very difficult for me just to like pull out like random, but like as when they come to me, I will I will make comment on that.
Well, the official number of fatalities involved in building the Hoover Dam was 96.
Yes.
So 9 plus 6 equals.
But hold on. It's actually that was construction deaths. There's 2 drownings that are recognized. Mm-hmm. But as far as physically dying, like building the dam, they recognize 96. Now, as a dam historian, or I guess it's my job, and I'm also an enthusiast, at least with the Hoover Dam. There was a lot of other guys. There was a lot of other guys that died that wasn't recorded. And one of the things that they did is they would make sure they rushed the guys off of the property because they had a plan, the executives, if you died on property or if you left your body in the canyon, then you're an official dam death. If you just die off property, even though if it happened there, you just died. So there was 2 drownings that they recognize, and this is what's eerie, and this is kind of symbolic if you look at it. But it was a father and son that died 13, so I think it was like 13 years apart on the same day. Father died during the surveying of the Colorado before the building of the dam, and the son died in 35 at the start of filling up the reservoir by falling off of the intake tower.
Rest in peace to them. It's
yeah,
unfortunate.
But that happened. They both died on the same day, and I forget the date exactly what the day was, but it was the Tyrannies. That's the name, Tyranny.
So these deaths are recognized; they are known. However, according to the official government website,
Yep.
they are very adamant about sticking to the official number of 96 industrial fatalities. So we look at that number, 9 plus 6 equals 15.
Yep.
Now we break that down. 1 plus 5 equals
6.
6. The number 6. It's a recurring number you see with these groups of people. We spoke about the stratosphere.
Yes.
The official
Yeah, this is
height.
okay, this is what blows me away, guys, because I talk about height and stuff all the time when it comes to structures and buildings, comparing it to Hoover Dam and stuff. And I was always under the impression that the stratosphere was 1,150 feet. Okay, now we're talking about, this is a little numerology, symbolism type stuff that we're talking about, where you keep finding the repetitiveness of certain numbers in certain places and stuff like that. Wrap your head around this one. Tell them. I used to 1,150 feet. That's what I used to say.
The official height of the Stratosphere Tower in Las Vegas is 1,149 feet. So when you add 1 plus 1 plus 4 plus 9 equals 15, right? 1 plus 5, 6. The Stratosphere Tower is also the tallest observation tower in the United States. So this is a monument. You know, it's like they're paying tribute.
So that math adds up right there, right? Like I'm not a mathlete, but what was that again? We had the 1 plus 1 plus
4 plus 9
equals 15. Boo bam, right there. That's 6. Right, and then you're saying 3 columns.
Yeah, it sits atop three columns, 3 sixes.
So that'd be three columns that come into one, 6, 6, 6, or 3 columns that propping up the 6 would be 6, 6, 6. But okay, so what if it's 3 columns, right? Would you go 3 plus 6, or would you add any of that up? Would you add any?
Well, you could do 3 plus 6 equals 9.
Well, or would you do 9 plus 6 again if you added up the 3 threes? Right. That still comes back to 6, right? 9.
Right.
Whoa, right? So here you have this loop with just like that little deal. So, where would we go? I forgot what it is. I'm a little stoned right there.
Well, a lot of people equate the number 6 to Satan. It's an imperfect number because the perfect number, the number of God, is 7, according to ancient numerology.
Okay.
So we have a lot of monuments, a lot of symbolism going back to the number 6, not just in Las Vegas. But we're talking Las Vegas. Look at the official fatalities that they record on the official government website for Hoover Dam. It's 96, even though it's recognized those other deaths. They are adamant about sticking to the number 96.
No, that's true. That is true. Now, I will for the, I don't want to say for the sake of argument, because we're not really arguing, but for just to like mention or as in discussion, there's like how do I put it? You have them protecting their stance with that number, because back during the construction, one of the things was that using the dam as a way to promote raise the morale of the country, to kind of get people a little bit more fired up, try to raise the spirits. The biggest dam in the world being built. This is happening during the Great Depression. There's jobs. Hey, this is looking good for our future. This is going to open up a lot of, open up a lot of opportunity in the Southwest, So when they came up with the scheme, the executives, that was you had to die to be an official dam death, and they didn't have to put their name on the books and stuff. And then also they didn't have to pay. But big thing was, and it was more important than, at least to them, at least what they made it out. I don't know if it was more important than the money that they were saving by not having to pay all the families, but they didn't have to make public notice and put the deaths in the paper, And I mean, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have a lot of deaths on a project that size when there's no government regulation other than the fact of it. That thing had to be physically sound, had to work. There's a few things, but they kept the state mining, they kept mining inspectors off the property. Like the general superintendent, Frank Crow, when he was building the dam, he said he wasn't going to do shit. He wasn't going to have anything to do with the project if he didn't have total control. He didn't want this red tape, because you want it done before we don't know what the hell the Colorado River brings, what kind of ferocity. He's like, you want this thing done, let me do what I do. And I'm sure he put it a little bit more eloquently and probably a little bit more stern, but so you're going to have deaths. You know, you're going to have, and then you also have a lot of the workers that came out, they weren't even skilled to do the jobs. They were learning on the job, you know. If you had the skill, if you were a mason, if you were anybody that did any steel work or any kind of heavy machinery or something, you went to the head of the line, you know, after the nepotism of having people get in and get the jobs. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of going off here a little bit, but out there you're going to have these deaths and all stuff, but they really had to instill today, because this is a government deal, they're not going to acknowledge, they're not going to acknowledge like, oh yeah, we shaved the numbers.
That's an interesting thought you bring up. I didn't know that. What's the name of the guy who was in charge?
Frank Crow.
So Frank Crow was adamant about having everything done his way.
100%, yeah. The construction firms too,
But he's the head guy, right?
Yeah.
So he's telling
but the
everyone.
He was the general superintendent. He answered to a bunch of other dudes. He answered to the guys that own the companies,
But
the
his selling
executives.
point, the way he sold himself is, he's the expert. You want it done, do it my way, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
100%.
he's selling himself as this expert, yet.
And this is very condensed down because there's a lot of history, but yes.
Right, but main outline. So this guy is selling himself as the expert. He knows what it takes to get it done, yet he was open to taking unskilled workers who barely knew anything.
No, this is during the Great Depression. And you had everybody coming out here for jobs. They said there was like 40 people per one position ready to take over if someone was injured, died, or got fired from the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you had a lot of guys moving out. They weren't just taking every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like the guys that got hired, the nepotism part. You had the construction people. You had the people. They always worked together, right? Then they would bring in, especially during this time, they'd probably put the word out to the family. In Illinois or Pennsylvania, they're dealing with all that bullshit. And like, hey, during the Depression, come on out over here. Come work with us on this project. So they're going to fill in a layer of jobs there, right? Then you're going to have your skilled workers who are without a job in the United States. They're going to come in to fill in, right? And then you're going to have people who are going to be learning on the job on the end that are going to go through and be part of the hiring go through the hiring process.
Now, what was the necessity of building this dam?
Develop the Southwest United States and to protect the agriculture of Southern California. One of the big problems, though, of the dam, though, is its environmental impact to the wetlands that connected that were now is barren desert, but was the big wetlands that went all the way to the Sea of Cortez. They had the largest amount of migratory animals, ocean life, and birds and all that stuff through there. And they've been trying to bring some of that back and do what they can, but it would never be the same. But that had a big fucking deal. But the dam, without it, I mean, Vegas wouldn't be what it is. We wouldn't have any of the agricultural boom and stuff that they have in Southern California, So eventually, but that was the start of it.
So they needed this to build the city of sin.
100%.
They advertised it as the largest dam of the time during our lowest point in the Depression.
Yep.
Kind of reminds me of the Bible story of
after the Panama Canal.
It reminds me of the story in the Bible, the Tower of Babel, the king of Babylonia. I think it was Nebuchadnezzar at the time. I could be wrong. He wanted to spite God, to show God that we can be more powerful by building the tallest tower that would reach the heavens, but before they could finish, God struck them down with a curse of tongues, like that. That's
changed
where
the language.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of reminds me of that, because here, America, we were at our lowest point, but I'll show you. I'll manipulate nature. I will manipulate the natural flow of the rivers.
Oh, there was
and build the greatest and largest dam there is.
God, there was a politician back in during the Woodrow Wilson administration, and that was instrumental on the dam being signed or going into effect, because they had to get the environmentalists on their side. But he was some general or something like that, and I forget what he said, but he was like, something about God. I'm gonna butcher it, but it was about we'll march every river, every dry, every mountain flat. We're gonna do whatever we have to do to develop the West, the Southwest United States. We'll kill everything in sight. You know what I mean? And then the environmentalists back in the day were like, "No, that's not gonna fly." So then they come back and they say that. Yeah, it was all about like the whole manifest destiny. It was like like really developing the West and making it more reachable to from Midwest to back east and stuff more than it was back then. But
I will change what God has carved.
Well, you know what they
change the flow of the river, and then on top of that, I will use this to create the city of sin.
They wanted to harness, but harness its energy and stuff like that, and but the best part about it was they told environmentalists now mind you, the Colorado River is the most unpredictable and destructive river in U.S. and some even say like in history.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, and it's just been remarked upon, but its ferocity, it's not the longest, it's not the widest, but it's had its rapids and its destructive path, what it's carved out. You know what I mean? Just Black Canyon, where the dam is amazing. It's volcanic rock, and it just cut, and then the Grand Canyon, So when they told the environmentalists in 1913, they're like, yeah, what we plan to do is restore the Colorado River to its natural grace. Yeah. And I was like, you guys have, the eloquence but the confidence and the arrogance, you know what I mean? Like, the problem, though, they had was in 1905. They had a huge flood. They had a huge flood in Southern California, and that's what created the Salton Sea. That was an engineering oversight that led to them having to make the dam. But
the Salton Sea, I didn't realize how filthy, how disgusting it is.
Well, it's beautiful, but it's just a dead lake. It's a salt gathering, agricultural runoff now.
Yeah,
there's no outflow. There's no.
All the fertilizer and the waste seeping into the water from underground from the farms that surround it. Has no way to filter out. It's a cesspool.
But the thing is, it looks absolutely beautiful. Like you go out there and it's crazy. It's like you go to, if you remember that movie, The Creep Show, where you go to that one lake and it's pristine and it's like, and they're like, it says don't go there. Like, fuck yeah, we're gonna go swim in there, and that blob comes up. Yep. It looks like that because there's beaches, miles of beaches that have never or I don't want to say never, but they haven't had anything going on out there for decades. You know what I mean? Like time stands still. But they have that. They have those fish die off. They have all the tilapia and shit. But it's crazy is people. I think people are still like that live down there in Slab City and around that area still fish out of that fucking thing.
I went there last year. Went to go visit.
And it's not like
in-law.
It's not like it's massive. But it's not like it's like nasty. But if you go at the wrong time of year, it'll smell like just straight raw fucking death. Because that fish die off.
It smelled like shit when I drove by it.
Yeah. What time? When'd you go?
This was when was it?
This is not going to smell like that in the winter.
I think it was like August.
Oh yeah. That's the worst time. That's like August, September, July, August, and September. Yeah, man. You get you get all that nasty shit that's been growing. Now it's just cooking out there.
I forget
because it's hotter than here.
I forget the name of the town I went to. It's south of that lake. It starts with a B. Oh, I gotta look it up.
Yeah, I don't.
It's north of El Centro. It's north of El Centro.
If they found a way, and they've admitted this, but if they found a way,
Brawley, that's the name.
I've never heard of it. Never heard of Brawley.
Just south of Salton Sea.
Really? Yeah, I've only been down there. I've only kicked around, and we almost ran out of gas, and I didn't want to get stuck out there, so we doubled back. But I think we got to Mexico.
Yeah.
But
You got Brawley, and then just south of that is El Centro, which is right by the border, and then on the other side of the border, on the Mexican side, is Mexicali.
yeah, I think we got close to like some shit like that. But and everybody, this was admitted back in the day. There's a really good documentary about the Salton Sea, and if they had figured out, like, if they just did some shit where they irrigated that water out, like they because I mean it was a total accident, and then they're like, oh dude, we got this fucking body of water out here, we're fishing, there's all sorts of fish in it, you know what I mean, like, and there's like part of it, I guess it was like, it's like native land, or was like native land, like they were gonna build casinos and stuff, and if they were able to maintain that lake, or like figure it out and have casinos, Vegas wouldn't happen. But the only thing about Vegas, there's something different out here, dude. It's almost like we're on this meridian that needs to happen, like,
Absolutely, because
to send that energy up.
what I'm looking up right now is Rivers of the West, right? Mm-hmm. And I was thinking what you just said, because since I moved here in 06, I always wondered, of all the places in the middle of the desert they could have chose to build, why Vegas? Why here? Why not 100 miles east of here or west of here, or
Natural springs. Vegas had a lot of natural springs.
Were we the only places with natural springs?
With the amount, and then also it also had to do with the rail lines because of those springs. So you had migratory animals, then you had migratory Native Americans, and then you had like earlier settlers, like people who had settled around the springs and stuff like that. You would think there would be more people who settled down by the river, but obviously not.
And now back to the river, I didn't know until you just brought it up that the Colorado River, in terms of ferocity, is probably one of the worst, if not, or strongest, or powerful, or whatever it was, in the world. It's almost like they chose to challenge that river as look, God, what I can do. I can stop even the most powerful things you've created.
There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of that in with it, but in all honesty, I mean, it really was like, it was all about like these industrialists like making the move, pushing out west, owning all the steel, owning the water. I always tell people, like, if you learn about the Imperial Valley and you learn about the, I forget what it is down there, but it's gosh. I can't remember the Native Americans that I'm talking about, but if you learn about like down there and the fight for like water rights and all that stuff, it's like that movie There Will Be Blood. You just had so many people who were going on out there, and they just keep coming up with these different ideas on how they're gonna manage the water, and guys were getting bumped off, ideas and technologies getting stolen. The government was like, so people couldn't, one of the things is you can stake your claim by the river, but you had 53 days to get shit started. If you didn't get it started, you had to repay for that plot of land, or you lost it. So you had these games going on where like guys are like buying up all this property, but they're not able to do anything, and then guys getting bought. I mean, it's really, really fascinating,
Well, you have other rivers in the Southwest that they could have used in order to build the greatest and largest American project ever during our Great Depression. You had the Green River, the Snake River, the Sacramento River, the San Joaquin River, the Gila River. But they had to choose the most powerful, right?
Yeah, well, it had to happen. It had to happen, because that's the only way that you could benefit. If you had the river was unchecked, fuck. You know, the river was unchecked, man. A lot. I mean, fuck, dude. We wouldn't have what we have. You know, and down south, the agriculture, that the best places to grow, they would just get wiped out whenever there was a flood. Like,
it just seems like you had brought up a point, like we're on this meridian, you know, like this is the chosen land for a certain group of people. Because not only do we have the Boulder Dam or the Hoover Dam being built here, you have Las Vegas being built here. And we're also within 100 square miles of us is, I forget the number of the, what is it, longitude? Which one is east and west? Longitude or latitude? Latitude, right? No, it's longitude. There's a certain longitude line.
I forget, dog.
There's a certain parallel, let's call it that, a line.
Yeah.
Where the most UFO sightings happen. Anywhere in the world within that parallel, it's almost always within that parallel.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, we're not that far from Area 51, and then you got Skinwalker Ranch out over there. Yeah, that's got to be within the same meridian, the same parallel and stuff. And then, look at where we would be probably in and near it too. You have Roswell, and there's other places like, Mexico and Brazil, but I mean, through here you get a lot, and then you get China Lake and all that shit where they all the spots where the government tests, and we just had that little deal. We just had the Area 51 deal, they people actually went out to the gates, fucking totally moronic, they did some shit out in the desert, just totally stupid. I can't believe that people wasted the gas to do that.
Here it is, the 37th parallel.
There you go.
That's where all the weird shit happens, all along the 37th parallel.
So where does that go across on this? I'm gonna say on this flat motherfucking Earth.
Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Arizona.
Yeah,
where all the weird shit happens.
So what? We're not a part of that, though.
Oh, we are a part of that. Yes, we are.
What's funny is, if I'm not mistaken, if you look at where, if you look up on a map and on a globe. Like the Golden Triangle, like the places up in Northern California and like Oregon where it's like really good to grow weed, on the other side of the fucking Earth. Crazy, dude. Yeah, that's right where we are. Fuck. Yeah, and that's right where that Utah shit be going down over there, Skinwalker Ranch.
There's your meridian.
Fucking A, dude. That's nutty. Guys, yeah, he picked up where'd you get that on?
37th parallel. I just Googled 37th parallel, but I remember a cousin of mine who's into this kind of topics. He brought it up to me.
But on the top, on the top of like where Nevada, where it come across like California and all that stuff, on that same meridian all the way around over to like Afghanistan, and it's like they grow the best weed like over there on that same meridian. I was like, dude, if that goes through the state of Nevada, then if if you're legal to grow, you should go and grow there.
There it is again.
Yeah, dude, the 37th parallel, dude. That's where, and dude, okay, not too far off from Denver, they got that airport with all that symbolism, and they're supposedly, and they have Mount Cheyenne, an underground base, so, they'd be off, like, just a little bit off of the beaten path. You don't have to be right on that line, But, dude, that thing goes right through where Area 51 is, all right? What's going on with, you got Utah. Okay, what about
Four Corners?
Right, yeah, it goes through the Four Corners, so you get that little New Mexico action going on over there. I mean, shit, dude, it goes all the way across. Now, see, I have to be honest, I don't know too much about any UFO action east, east of us. You don't really get too many of that phenomena around those parts, don't you? You don't really get too much around over there.
Well, where did that movie that came out in the 90s, Fire in the Sky, wasn't that in the East Coast?
No, that was Arizona.
I didn't know that.
That was like Flagstaff, Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, some shit like that. I remember my friend's sister was living up and around that area, when all that went down. And you know what else? She was living up over there when like the McVeighs or the Nichols family from the fucking Oklahoma City bombing. Like their families like lived over there in Flagstaff or some shit, or Kingman.
I just
I think it
pulled
was
up
Kingman.
Kingman.
Kingman or Flagstaff, one of the two. It's fucking worlds apart, but all the same to me. It's in Arizona.
Arizona is truly God's country. There's something definitely supernatural about that entire state when you drive through it.
I think that place is an alien hub.
Now, I pulled up. They call the 37th parallel the paranormal highway, right?
Paranormal, so that's beyond
Paranormal.
Yeah.
So
that's energy.
it's littered with histories of cattle mutilations, UFO sightings, reports of underground military bases, and ancient native sacred sites. So
Yes.
even the ancients knew. So some of the landmarks
Through
that
the
are
Grand Canyon too.
Yep. Some of the landmarks included in the 37th parallel are the Pentagon, Fort Knox, Washington, D.C., Kentucky's Mammoth Cave National Park, the notorious New Mexico Dulce Base. Are you familiar with that one?
I'm not adept in all the information, but
I'll send you a link after this.
Is it Dulce or Dulce? I don't know.
I recognize it as Dulce, Dulce.
Dulce? No, it's not Dulce. Sorry, that's irrelevant.
Supposedly, it was either the 70s or 80s, there was a firefight between our military and aliens that they had captured in that underground base, and I guess the aliens were trying to escape.
Yeah, that was what was his name? I think his name was Dan Snyder. A guy that came out. He talked about how he got shot and he lost his fingers, and he's like, he lost like 2 or 3 of his fingers. He's like, look how smooth and clean this is. He's like, there's no way there's any surgery. He's like, I have no medical record of all this happening. He's like, da da da.
So that where it happened,
and then he died. He died when he came out, like a couple months after he was like telling these stories.
So that's along the 37th parallel. Los Alamos, New Mexico, Colorado's Mesa Verde, the Four Corners we mentioned, Aztec, New Mexico, the site of a 1948 UFO crash, Death Valley, Nevada's Area 51.
Well, as I say, Death Valley is China Lake out there. That's where the government tests a lot of shit.
Yep. The Grand Canyon, as you said.
So it's not far to say.
Just outside, also along the 37th parallel, it goes through Granada, Spain, which has had documented UFO sightings in 1976, and Fukushima, Japan.
Whoa. Hey, now, is there anything of like saying it like anything that happens on certain parts of like across the ocean or anything like the Bermuda Triangle or?
It mentions that the border. I didn't realize this. The border of North and South Korea is the 37th parallel.
Jeez, then there's no law there.
The most heavily armed border in the world.
Oh yeah.
Now the Bermuda Triangle. Let's see. No, they didn't mention anything of that on here. But there's a lot of cattle mutilations that happen along the 37th parallel.
I wonder what the deal is with that. I've always wondered, like, why cows, like, is the milk really good for you and they're just lying to us, and that's why they pasteurize it? You know what I mean? Like, is it really,
The along the 37th parallel also, according to Native American legend and such, it's also where you find stories of the chupacabra, and also that legend of La Llorona.
I'm not familiar with that.
She's a old legend of a woman who in Mexico, or Old Mexico, 37th parallel area, where she She drowned her children because the boyfriend she was with didn't like children. He ended up dumping her anyway. So in her sorrow and grief, she kills herself. So the legend goes that she roams around looking for her children, and if you see her, like, she'll kill you or kill your children or something like that. It's a very popular
I hate this
Hispanic
chick, dude.
American.
She sounds, that's a fucking terrible fucking thing. That would have fucking a lost and ditzy fucking bitch, dude. How the fuck are you gonna go and kill your own kids for some fucking dildo or just anybody, dude? You're gonna go and fucking get rid of your fucking kids and then get dumped. So that just means your pussy's trash, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's, those kids probably, there was a mercy death for coming out of that fucking trash pussy, you know? And then you're going to go and fucking kill yourself, which you should, because you're a piece of fucking shit. That's a terrible legend. I don't like that legend. That was like a legend of bad decisions, one after another. Now she's going to go and kill people's other kids because she's a terrible person. I hope she's, burning in eternity, dude.
Yeah, and you've got to think her story is one of hundreds, maybe thousands that have occurred throughout history.
What? Well, I guess, yeah. There's people.
Look, Casey Anthony.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Is that
dude.
not the same story? Well,
Yeah.
she didn't kill
Okay.
herself, but she killed.
Okay.
She wanted to go clubbing. She wanted to go partying.
Okay, real quick, is the one I was just talking shit on, was she hot?
Well, this is an old legend, so there's no pictures of her.
Because I'll admit, Casey Anthony, he's hot. That's terrible.
It's terrible.
JK. No. Well, I mean,
the holy water. You sprinkle holy water on your penis now.
oh, dude, you know how greasy that fucking her attorney was for banging her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those, but that's expected.
Well, what's interesting is a private investigator that was assigned to that case by the attorney is now coming out with information saying that the attorney told him that she did do those murders, and you need to find the evidence or the body. I don't remember what it was he needed to find before the cops do. That's interesting because
the kid get eaten by the gators, or like what was the deal? They never found the body, right?
Yeah, they did. The body was wrapped up in duct tape.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. What's interesting to me is that the PI is coming out with this. He could potentially be facing charges for coming out with this because of confidentiality.
Yeah, totally, dude. Hey, man, 6ix9ine's fucking, there ain't no confidentiality no more, bro. You doing dirt, you done fucked up, man. If you got anybody involved, dude, fucking just be on the straight and narrow and be fucking around.
Well, the problem with the streets, and this is why I left it alone a long time ago, is that the codes, morals, and ethics of old and the loyalty is no more. People only talk about it. People only get it tattooed on them. But as far as living it, no. Because there are every hood has a 6ix9ine. Every single hood has a 6ix9ine. I've seen the paperwork myself.
Well, yeah, dude. 100%, man. The thing is fucked up is when you get in, you do some shit, and you're doing the wrong shit, and you're around these people, dude. Once they get a hold of you, man, they put the squeeze, and they'll fucking lock you. They'll put you under the jail forever.
Yep.
Or you could fucking just say a name and fucking go. But, dude, that guy's fucked.
There's known snitches in every hood walking right now. They get a pass. Why? Because they have a promise of a record deal, or they have studio time. I'm not going to say any names. I don't want to get in trouble, but I know this for a fact, especially in this city. There's known snitches out there right now walking their hood, and their homies are turning the other way because, oh, he got a record deal, or, oh, he fucks with such and such artist, or they want their studio time. They don't want to interrupt the flow of money. They're willing to sell their soul and their integrity for just a promise, not even full realization, but just the vision of a potential record deal and some cheap chains from the middle of the mall cart.
Jesus.
This is happening.
No, no, trust me, I know. It's victim of a fucking snitch.
Yep.
So, they're out there. I know they're out there. People get fucking caught, and they just like, hey, we can make sure that this don't go that far.
Yeah.
We just need a little something.
You're making deals with the devil.
Yeah, man.
That's what law enforcement does. They hang these pieces of cheese out, you know.
Oh, dude, these motherfuckers told me when they arrested me, man, they were like, "Yo, if you just give us anything, this will all go away." Mm-hmm. They're like, you just need to get your house fixed.
Yep.
Like the guy even told me, he goes, you could even go back to growing.
What's the saying in county? Sing on 3, fly home free.
Yeah, I don't know.
Famous saying in county.
I don't know nothing about that, but I just looked at dude and I was like, well, first of all, there ain't nobody to fucking snitch on. I'm just growing. You know what I mean? Like I told him, I go, whoever sold you this bill of goods for you guys to get a warrant and come fucking bust me, I hope you go back on your deal with them because they gave you bullshit, And the cop was like, what? And I was like, I'm growing my fucking garage. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not an operation. Like, you know what I mean? Like, This is fucking ridiculous. I'm like, I'm doing this so I don't got to be fucking dealing with nobody,
There's
fucking
pieces of shit out there right now who continue to conduct the piece of shit criminal activity that they do, and they get a pass for it because they keep the flow of inmates rolling for the detectives. They're like, I'll continue to sing on this person and that person and give you this amount of arrests as long as you continue to allow me doing what I do, and they do it.
Yeah, bro. I'm telling you, the dude told me I could go back to fucking growing. Everything would be fine and dandy. Da-da-da-da-da. It would all go away, this, that, and the other thing. I just had to give him a name. And I was like, and then I was just like, I didn't say it, but I was like, bro, if there was anybody to snitch on, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be snitching on him because fucking I would lose my life or they'd fucking kill my family. You know what I mean? Like, and because I'm no fucking bubble gummer, okay? I don't be fucking bubble gumming on shit, dude. When I do shit, I fucking do it,
Yeah, this witness protection program ain't like what they show on the movies. You're not going to get a brand new house and car and all that. You're
fucking My Blue Heaven and shit.
Yeah, you all end up in Pahrump. That's where you end up, in Pahrump, in a trailer.
You end up in Dolan Springs, fucking out there.
Lancaster, California, you know?
Okay, fucking put you in meth country.
Back to the Casey Anthony thing. They found the skeletal remains of the 2-year-old wrapped in a blanket inside a trash bag in a wooded area near her family's house. There was duct tape found on the front of her skull and on the mouth.
What was cause of death? It's so fucked, man.
The medical examiner mentioned duct tape as one reason she ruled the death a homicide, but officially listed it as a death by undetermined means. What the fuck does that mean?
Holy cow. You know what this... Okay, this is my take, dude. This is my take, man. This was like some kind of sacrifice people are in on, and this was like the charade they got to get. I don't know. But I mean, seriously, how does this girl, get away with fucking killing her fucking baby? You know what I mean? Like, and then you got homeless moms putting on different fucking addresses trying to get their kids in better school, fucking serving, being threatened with 12 years. Mm-hmm. What the fuck, dude?
This is crazy. And she's out, she's free, probably partying it up, probably snorting coke right now.
Hey, fucking
not
man.
A care in the world.
Yeah, that shit'll manifest, bro. She always, it's just terrible. But unless you're like a completely psycho sociopath person, bro, some people they're these empty vessels.
That's true. The term sociopath and psychopath is thrown around so loosely by the general public. They use it to describe anybody who does anything out of the norm or something crazy, quote unquote. They say, oh, he's a sociopath. But there is an actual medical definition or mental health definition for that. And a psychopath, by definition, there are over 1 million living amongst us right now.
Oh, for sure, bro.
And a lot of them are in positions of power.
We're like at what, 330 plus million people? Yeah, man. I mean, that's just mathematically, chemically, psychologically, socially, I mean, that's gonna compile up to there'll be a million fucking around us.
They estimate that okay, so the world's population right now is at 7 billion. About anywhere from 1 to 5% of that number are psychopaths.
Yeah.
Now, 1% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're talking about 7 billion,
That's a lot of
1%
fucking
that,
people, dude.
yeah.
That's a lot of people, man. It's like when these people talk about, the small percentage of people being injured from vaccines. I'm like, bro, that's in the millions of people,
Right.
and those are lives. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like if you now know that there's vaccine injured people. There's people with these severe allergies to vaccines. Let's just put it at that. You're gonna be in the millions if you were to force everybody to take vaccines. You're gonna be in the millions of people who are gonna get fucking sick and die, have a reaction, and you're like, oh, well, is this the percentage? No, it's not. These are lives, who are otherwise fine until fucking moment of death,
Well, these powers that be, and their worship of the occult and their symbolism in numbers, being that they are masters at the numbers, they know how to manipulate the numbers and create illusions. They know how to use numbers to make things look worse than they are or not as bad as you think, So in that case right there, when you talk about the vaccinations, they make it seem not as bad because it's only, what is it? It's only a small percentage.
It's for the greater good.
Right. But when you look at the actual number as opposed to the percentage number, it's a lot of fucking people, right?
Yeah.
Now, on the other end of things, when you look at the Democrats, they compile the murder rate every year. Okay, they compile the murder rate per capita. And so when you look at it like that, at the murder rate of Chicago, for example, they point to, oh, it's racist for you to point out Chicago as being so bad. When you look at the murder rate, it's not even in the top 10, in terms of murder rate. Well, what they don't understand is murder rates are misleading. Naturally, you're going to have, because Chicago is the third largest city in the United States, it's going to have a lower murder rate than, say, a smaller city such as Baltimore or Las Vegas. But Baltimore, being a smaller population, doesn't need as many actual murders as Chicago does for it to have a higher murder rate. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
No, you kind of confused me on that one, dude.
Okay, so let me pull up.
I mean, I kind of get the gist of it, but what I'm getting at, dude, is if you have such a large population, if your percentage is low, it's still a lot of numbers. That would be a lot larger than a smaller city with like the higher crime rate per. But you have to look at it's like per capita and stuff like that. The thing is, when you have these when it's set up a certain way, you're gonna have a certain outcome.
Okay. So the crime rate is populated or calculated by you take the number of reported murders, okay? You divide that by the total population, and then the result of that you multiply it by 100,000, right? So, for example, in 2014, there were 48,000 robberies in California, and the population was 38 million. This equals a robbery crime rate of 126 per 100,000, right? So, you take a city the size of Chicago, which has many more millions of people living there, compare it to the murder rate of Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a higher murder rate than Chicago. But the actual number of murders is higher in Chicago than it is in Las Vegas. But they don't point They don't point.
No, I'm saying hitting the
Oh,
table.
excuse me. They don't point at the actual number of murders. They point at the murder rate. But of course, Chicago is going to have a lower murder rate according to the equation I gave you, because to offset that number, you have millions of more people and a larger landmass of good neighborhoods as opposed to bad neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
So the real way to gauge how bad a part of the city is, its problematic areas, are to look at the murder rates of specific zip codes. When you do that, like for example, if you took just the area of the south side of Chicago and you did the murder rate for that, now you have numbers as high as basically murder capital of the world.
Mm-hmm.
As high as any of the
Well,
cities
like
in
Johannesburg
Brazil.
and shit.
Worse. We're talking like Honduras,
Well, yeah.
El Salvador, Brazil.
That's why they got that whole Chirac shit that everybody gets all mad about and stuff. But when you call out, because dude, you'll see I'll see the reports, because I follow a lot of gun advocates and stuff like that, and you always have this stuff everybody's talking about, mass shootings and stuff. And they're like, dude, just as many people that have been killed, if not more, were shot this weekend in Chicago. And what's real crazy, and here's one of the things. I've heard a lot about it, and I shared a couple of videos. I was going around, found a few videos and stuff on the internet of a lot of hip hop heads and stuff like that, saying that they would find, or people in their hood and stuff like that, and different stories, different accounts, different cities, different, no connection, but they would find fucking boxes of guns.
That's true.
With ammo and shit just left in the hood. Mm-hmm. And there was one where this guy was saying that they turned him in. His buddies turned him in, and so they found him, and they asked, they asked a couple of the neighborhood guys, like, hey, look, we found these fucking guns. What we should do is go turn them in. They're like, fuck no, go throw them in the fucking river or whatever, go get fucking rid of them. Because he goes, you know what happened? He goes, last week, or couple weeks ago, so and so from the block over, they turned them in, and the cops tried to bust them for the fucking guns and shit. And he goes, after they fucking were like, fuck you, you're not pinning that shit on us. Fucking, he said the next day that box was out there fucking again with the fucking guns, and it, guns, ammo, and all that shit. And you hear all these different fucking stories, but you look at all these places where guns are banned, and hey, it's a tough pill to swallow, but it's out there. The people have done the work, they've dug it up. But the places that are where they've banned guns, you can't even, and they're democratically ran. They have a very high murder rate.
Yeah.
But that's where a lot of this shit goes on, where they, these places, Baltimore. I mean, they made the movie The fucking Wire. Yeah. I mean, the series, The Wire, which was all off of like real shit that happens in Baltimore. You know what I mean? But you have Chicago, where you have people, New York, where you have people talk about finding guns. L.A.
In L.A., I was going to say, in the 80s and the 90s, they were finding the box cars that were just abandoned on the train tracks going up and down L.A. along Alameda. They would leave them in close proximity to Watts or the Pueblo housing projects, because the train tracks run all along there, and then in those box cars are boxes of weapons, military grade,
No, dude, and what's crazy is one of the guys, he goes, they were all like exotic, like weapons and stuff. He goes, I was so used to that stuff when I would go to like gun shows and I'd be asking them, they're like, they don't make that shit. What are you talking about? He's like, fuck yeah, dude, I used to have one. You know what I mean? I sold it. I thought I'd be able to get another one. Like fucking, and they're like, that shit don't exist, and you find out like later, like, he was talking about having like automatic handguns and, all sorts of shit, dude,
And you try to point these out to some of these left-wing people, and the ones who are adamant about it, and even the ones who are minority, brown like I am, or whatever, The ones who try to deny it, you look at their background, they're not really from it. 9 times out of 10, they're not from the inner city. They didn't live any of that life. They were on the outside looking in, going by off what they heard, or repeating left-wing talking points. But as far as actually living it, witnessing it, seeing it, being amongst it, themselves, no. 9 times out of 10, they're not.
Yeah, and they didn't want to tell you how to feel about it.
Right, and it's like, they look at me and they, not knowing me, they're like, oh, in their head, I know they're thinking, oh, he's an Asian, he's not going to know better, not realizing how connected I am in L.A., not realizing what my past is, not realizing that I come from a very multi-ethnic background.
Yeah.
I got folks from all over.
Yeah, dude.
If we're not related, then we know each other. How about that?
Yeah, dude.
From both sides. I've seen these things myself. Mm-hmm. But who am I? I could just be some crazy guy talking out the side of my mouth. But you know what? I seem to be good in every hood I go to. I roll solo. I seem to be good.
There you go, dude. That speaks volumes.
I don't hide my tattoos. How about that?
But yeah, dude. So there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, and people don't want to acknowledge that, dude, because they're really not in it. And people in the hood, they're not gonna, dude. There's a war going on. You know what I mean? They're not gonna fucking just turn that shit in. It's the best thing to do, but bro, when you got like straight killers out there, people just don't get that. Like, they talk tough on the internet.
Right.
You know what I mean? They don't understand. They're fucking straight killers out there.
There are people who do not give a fuck. I know someone personally who doesn't even cuss, doesn't listen to rap music. He listens to nothing but oldies. I'm not going to say his name or what neighborhood he's from, but, real ones know. This guy on his weekend, he goes fishing, lives a regular family life. Very reputable person from his neighborhood, one of the original founding members. And there is no doubt in my mind that guy has a long list under his belt. That's not even disputed amongst people in his hood. Mm-hmm. And his hood ain't no Mickey Mouse hood either. His hood is one of the most reputable in L.A. There's people out there you would never think, it's not always the ones that are the most obvious looking, with the mean mug, the mean grill, and the tattoos and all that. Sometimes it's that meek looking one.
No, it's the fucking Gus Frings of the fucking world.
Yeah.
From fucking Breaking Bad. You know what I mean? It's the fucking Gustavo.
Now, that's not always the case, but there's a lot of Gus Frings, Gustavos in the world.
Fucking A, dude. 100%. And the thing is like, it's so crazy, man. Like, I look at everybody with like a lot of, with a lot of respect. I treat everybody because, man, here's a perfect example, dude. When you're early in the morning and you're like in a 7-Eleven, and you're around like, there's all these dudes coming in, people are going to work and they're doing all this stuff, There's some dudes who've just got out, and there's some dudes who have no problem going back in, you know what I mean? And they're not there like they're carrying a chip on their shoulder or anything like that, but like they're killers, you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, I'm going to a job, but I bet you it doesn't matter. They'll throw down at a drop of a hat, but like you're around people every day, and it's just so funny to me because there's a lot of restraint in a lot of people. But, I just, there's so much shit talking going out there.
I have a good buddy in California. His stepfather, he'd recently got out after doing some years. So he's out. He gets into it with a neighbor. And over words of disrespect, not even real beef, but just words of disrespect, shoots him point blank.
Jesus.
And he's doing life. This is one of many. There's people out there who are just looking for a reason.
Like, dude, what the fuck?
You know, like they just
Like, how you wired like that?
they're just so many years of institutionalization. They've lost their youth. They've given up hope on the future, maybe. Whatever the reason may be, they just, in their head, they're like, fuck it, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, dude. Well, it's just
Go
crazy.
out with a bang.
It's crazy. It's like
You don't know who wakes up in the morning.
the fucking sticking to switch.
Right. You don't know who wakes up in the morning after a long fight with their spouse, and their spouse tells them that they're leaving them and they're leaving with the kids. They're taking half of everything or everything. He goes to sleep. He wakes up. He looks normal, but he says, today is the day. You know, if no one says hello or good morning to me today, I'm going to pop my trunk and do the do. How many of those people are amongst us right now?
Yeah, dude.
You know?
Everybody, yeah, man. Some people are on the fucking brink, bro.
Yeah.
You know? I remember, this is some years back. But in Seal Beach, California, there was some dude who was just all fucking pissy and went in and shot up a salon. You know, killed like 6, 7 people, maybe even 9 or something ridiculously large like that. But, you know, just fucking went in there and just fucking smoked everybody, you know.
You got to think sometimes.
And they said, like, if I'm not mistaken, they're like, yeah, there was some shit going on. Yeah, I was mad, but, like, they didn't expect, like, motherfucker to go out there and just ice the whole fucking place, you know.
You may have saved countless lives and not even known it. Just by saying hello or to a stranger walking by or making them smile. Because right before you said hello to them, they were set on killing as many people as they can because they gave up on humanity. And you're the one who changed their mind because you showed them a glimmer of light, that there's still faith to be had in the human race.
Well, that'd be rad, and I'd hope so, but not like I hope not
Right.
at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, I would hate to think that there was somebody in my presence, you know, that would want to do that, or you know, or was focused on doing that. But that's one of the things, man. There's fucking dudes.
I'm for certain.
It's like people don't understand, you know, on how these motherfuckers like will and can kill.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, a lot of people like to look at things they relate to. So if they come from a quote unquote normal environment, that's something I wouldn't do. That's something none of my friends wouldn't do. So they can't see beyond that tunnel vision. When they look at crime and what other people do, they think rational thoughts. They think, well, it doesn't make sense for it to happen that way.
Yeah.
You know, but not everybody is built like you.
No,
People
no.
don't put that in consideration. That was something I was trying to bring up about a couple weeks ago about these shootings that are happening. So Trump or somebody in the administration said, let's look at video games and violent video games, right? Yeah. So I brought up some points. I said that there are approximately 10 million Americans living amongst us right now with a serious mental health condition. So in essence, we have 10 million Americans who are potential Manchurian candidates, right?
Yeah.
Just waiting for the right trigger or keyword to set them off. Who's to say that the video games don't do that, right? So that's a point I bring up.
That could happen.
Now, you have the naysayers who say, well, there have been studies done on the violent video games, and it's shown to have no effect on
Usually
on the
Japan's usually brought up for that. They're like, they have the most uncensored violent TV and they have the lowest crime.
But they also have the highest suicide rate.
Yes.
And high rates of sadism. Look at their pornography.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay, look at their child sex trafficking problems. What about those numbers? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But anyhow, back to my point. So these people who dismiss the claims of the effect of violent video games on the mind, they point to these studies and they say, well, look at this study. it didn't have any effect on the test subjects. But did you ever stop to ask yourself who were the test subjects? Were they normal people? Did they test some of these people with the serious mental health conditions?
Yeah.
Did they test people
Who are heavily medicated.
or people who are delusional, who are under a state of psychosis, who are schizophrenic?
Yep.
Were any of the test subjects under that kind of condition?
Doing. No, I get you, dude. No, they're not factored in. And it's just like when they run trials, dude. They don't do anything after like 90 days, and then they're going to prescribe it for you for life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they've never studied. There's no studies that show that they go past 90 days of all this trial. You know, they get it passed. It's countless. You know, again, as I was saying before, this is all stuff other people have researched and commenting on. I'm not like, you know, I hate it when like I just can't have a conversation just like talk about it. People just immediately say, do you got a link? Do you got a source? Yeah. It's like, yeah, I don't roll with that shit in my pocket, dude. You know what I mean? I have a hard time remembering fucking certain names and dates. Now you want me to fucking pull out links and shit,
Well,
you know?
9 times out of 10, you're not going to be able to find the link no more. It gets buried.
Yeah, there's that, and also then usually no matter what it is, they'll just pounce on it because it's not mainstream media because they don't put that shit in mainstream media.
Well, the brainwashing and the programming is so real that people have selective outrage, you know.
Oh, dude, totally. Now, yeah, let's talk a little bit about that, bro. This is what really fucking gets my goat. You know, they have been talking about Democrats since the fucking, like, 1920s. We're going, like, close to, like, 100 years, to where they've been talking about rising sea levels and floods, and we're all going to fucking die because of the weather. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I say Democrats, because this was like a Democratic point that was being made back in the 1920s or whatever. There's a big paper that was written on it. Obviously, it hasn't happened. Then you get into other stuff where they've talked about in the 70s global cooling, and all stuff. And then we get into global warming, and then that changes into climate change. Now, this is all backed by oil and stuff like that. And this is a means of control. Mm-hmm. Right now it's all about the environment. Now it's climate change. Mm-hmm. When this whole planet's fucking changed. Now here's one of the things I tell people on my tours all the time. You know, just to put this out there because people like this stuff logically. But the lowest point of the Grand Canyon is like 2.5 billion years old. They had determined that at one point in time it was the tallest mountain in the world.
Wow.
So we've changed a lot, right? This place is always going through a source of change. So fuck you, climate change. Yeah, it's been happening since day one. It happens today, every day. It's never the same, right? Tell me of when we've been around, we've been in a state of homeostasis, right? There's a landmass at Antarctica, right? Well, at one point in time, there's old maps that actually they show Antarctica with no ice. So why aren't they mad about the ice being there when it wasn't there before? Should it not be there, right? You know what I mean? So we have all this climate change and stuff like that, and that's naturally happening. It's just going to happen. If the planet wants us off, we're going to be off. Now, it's pollution. Yes, that's a problem, okay? But they're talking about spraying fucking, you know, now it's okay, you know, because it's stratospheric aerosol injections, and it's noted by the CIA and stuff like that. But the conspiracy theory, the chemtrails, the spraying up there, you know, no, that's crazy. They would never do that. And you'd be like, well, they say it's going to be to block the sun rays, but you know, they put a bunch of bad shit in it. It's not good for us. It's proven not good for our health.
Absolutely.
You know. And they're like, oh, that's crazy. And all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, no, we're doing that because we want to, you know, we can kind of create a cloud that would be similar to a volcano erupting that would block the sun to keep it from global warming, and all shit like that. It's craziness, dude, right? Well, back in the day, people said, oh, no, that's fucking bullshit. Now, that is the way to save the planet. It was the conspiracy theory. Eddie Bravo talks about it, but we talked about it a long, long time ago and shit. People who had the fucking the conspiracy theory are now who are laughed at, marginalized, and all sorts of shit. Now they're accepting it, what they were saying, as the fucking solution, and now like the people, they were just silly about the conspiracy theories because this is like now science, So what I'm getting at here is we have a gimmick. We have this bullshit going on when it comes to climate change. You have big oil and all these people who are backing, and these big money people who are backing this green initiative. And what comes down to it is here the industrialists, and stuff like that, they created the world we live in. They're the ones that made it. We need to run on gasoline. We need to run on oil and all this shit, when there's been way many more alternatives, healthy alternatives, cleaner alternatives, environmentally and just health-wise, anti-pollution. But no, they have to have it their certain way because it all goes according to this plan, this whole thing that they have to try to control the world. All right, and people think this is craziness, but people have done this work. Look at James Corbett's work. Talk about how big oil took over the West, or Big Oil with James Corbett, or the Corbett Report, and look at his stuff. How he breaks down the history with their papers. He does amazing work, and he condenses it down to where it's very palatable and understanding. At the same time, he goes deep with the information, but the thing is they want to then put it on us, the people who are only subjected to one thing, that we're the problem, when they've fucking suppressed and killed anything that would have been fine for everybody. You know what I mean? Free energy. You know what I mean? Hemp gasoline, hemp plastic, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy how they want to fucking go and say, oh, you're bad because we're making the SUVs and you're driving them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
They've had for decades now. It was actually a Filipino engineer.
For what?
Who created the first engine that could run on water.
What was
He was threatened by
where
companies.
Where was this?
In the Philippines.
Oh, okay, because
there's another story of another guy who did it too. But
and I've never met my dad. But my dad's like dad, I think, or my dad's uncle, some shit like that. He created like this thing. My mom told me about it in like the 70s or 80s, that like helped reduce like smog emissions and shit like that. Like he created like this. He made this little thing.
Daniel Dingle. In the Philippines back in 1969.
I don't know that one.
He created he started work on his hydrogen reactor in 1969, and he claims to have used the device to power his 1996 Toyota Corolla. And of course, he never revealed the secret to his invention because he was threatened. On another topic,
I should ask my mom to give me the info about that, because it was pretty fascinating that whatever, and I forget what he called it too. It was something in Tagalog, what he named it, the piece.
And then it turns out Alex Jones was right about the gay frogs.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah.
no, but hold on, dude. I want to stay on the environmental stuff, because I mean, and that is true. I mean, that is true. That all the conspiracies, all that stuff is come out to be true. But climate change, they've talked about it, and they've a lot of scientists, when Al Gore was saying that the world's gonna fucking flood and we should be underwater right now, right? Well, obviously not, and sea levels definitely haven't risen at all, because they don't. It's kind of the way it works, but. And if it has, it hasn't been any more rise than there has been in a decrease or whatnot, and whatever the fluctuation. So, anyways, you have all this environmental stuff going on now. The big thing that's happening, and this is taking me a long time to get to, is they're using kids. Or you have this girl from Sweden, this Greta Thunberg, and she's been on this big environmental thing, and she just read this thing where she chastised everybody. You stole my childhood. I should be in school instead of I'm flying around on these jets, fossil fuels, you know what I mean? Like I'm berating everybody. But they have this girl, right? And she's got this Mona Lisa thing going on. You know, she's just stoic. She's stonewall face. She doesn't smile. She's very like overly concerned, and she's very like, her name's Greta, and she just you know, and she just right, and it's total acting, dude. Like the breathing, she'd like look down and read her stuff, and she'd be normal, and then she would, you know, and I was like, bro, if you're really rattling off some shit, and it was coming from yeah, dude. And so, the thing is like, when we get back into symbolism, this has been done before, you know. And the thing is you take a young kid, in this case, you know, over here they're pushing it, but you take a young white child and you push this message of, you know, doom and gloom, and you got to push, but it pushes right into big oil, big pharma, you know what I mean? It pushes like right into their agenda, to the, you know, and it's all done off of feelings, and it's all put on the spin, right? And it's been pointed out by people on the right that this is what was done with Nazi propaganda, right? And so, and even Soviet propaganda. So I retweeted Dinesh D'Souza's, sorry, fuck. I put his tweet up where he says, "Look at here, this is something that was done by the Nazi Party, you know, back in the day, and it was taking a Scandinavian, and that's what the girl Greta is, and using her as like representing, like, you know, this is for like the purity. This is like the innocence of it. You know, they're trying to say it doesn't get any more innocent than a little white girl, right? Telling you about the, you know, however the political, whatever the agenda is." And he goes, "This was used back then. This is kind of similar now. They're using this because it's to push control." I made a fucking post about it, and I was just like, "Oh, you know, here we go. This is what they do. Sorry, you know." And I had some people jump on and say the Nazis weren't socialists, and I was like, "Well, it was in the name, you know, the whatever German National Socialist Party."
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Of workers, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is on the left, okay, you push for more government. It's a government thing, right? On the right, you know, generally, and we're removing globalists, we're removing industrialists, we're removing Wall Street, and we're removing the military, right? But on what's going with the whole liberal, or not even liberal, but the left versus right, is you'd push more towards government on the left, is what they do, programs, taxation, social programs, socialism, we're all equal, everybody, you know, right? And on the right, they're like, no, fend for yourself, smaller government, less taxation, you know, you make it happen, you know, and they also feed into social programs. I mean, there's no denying that. I mean, you need some of that stuff. You can't have a city.
Right.
It doesn't really work that way in the farms, you know. At any rate, you have this whole, like, you know, left and right thing, right? Well, then you start getting into the politics of it. And on the left, okay, you tend to use the government to push your means. You start writing laws, and when you write a law, basically you're saying you're going to give your team permission, right, to use a gun against somebody else, right? Taxation, you're basically saying, well, if you don't fucking pay us, you will either fucking go to jail or die, and we're going to fucking fine you. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately, like, you're like, I don't want to pay my tax on, I don't want to pay taxes for that. I want to fund the fucking war. And like, oh, well, fuck. You know what I mean? And there's a whole thing about the income tax, like via the Constitution. We shouldn't be income taxed. Corporations or foreign corporations should be taxed, not the individual, but they changed all that shit. And that's a whole nother fucking beast. I mean, that's something that I need to be like completely awake for, aware of, to get into that conversation. But what I'm getting at is over here is the left has used a lot of these tactics before, and that's what worked with the Nazis. Okay, they got away with pushing more and more. Everything was offensive. Everything was done. They needed to be managed. They needed to be controlled. Right. Soviet Union, the same thing. They needed total control, the whole Marxist movement and all that stuff like that, like the no property, the state's the fucking, the state knows best. The state's the religion, right? And then look at how a lot of times people hold their political parties as a religion, right? Left or right. So it's a fucking dangerous deal. That's why I'm a political atheist, right? So here's the thing. There's these certain tactics that are being used. It can be used on the other side, but the whole thing is they're pushing for more government and stuff like that. So that's what the left lies to, and that's what the fucking socialists that end up being Communist Party, right? You have a lot of communists who identify as being socialists, and they're only for the left, right? And what a lot of people don't understand is the left that's out there, just because your team isn't in office doesn't mean that those people aren't the people that set up the fucking laws to make the fucking bullshit the way it is. Like, then they're still in charge. They're still that's what's going on with Trump and everything. There's a fight for that shit to get rid of all those people who've been manipulating, been fucking around. Like, the dude has literally been draining the swamp. A lot of people think, oh, well, he's just been, he hired all his friends. He chummed up. No, the guy pulled a fucking mafia move where he kept his fucking enemies closer,
right? And
he fucking buddied up, and he made. I mean, seriously, people are like, "Oh, it's bullshit." Da, 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 da. Look what's happening. Yeah, they get fired, they get indicted. I think that's according to the fucking plan.
Yeah, I'm trying to point that out to people.
I'm telling you, dude.
Hello.
People are like, "Oh, you're just trumping. I'm like, dude, you're not paying attention." You know what I mean? Like, look at, like, Bolton. These people almost wanted to defend Bolton. I go, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking out of your fucking mind.
It's because the point I brought up to you earlier. People are looking at it how they would go about it. What is rational to them. Clearly, those methods that are rational to them have not been working for decades now. So you can't approach the problem in that way. You have to do it in a creative manner. Tactics, war tactics, as from what I believe Trump is doing. He is draining the swamp. Look how many people, as you said, he's gotten rid of.
Bro, and he's got, people think that he's going to be attacking across the aisle. He's been doing it from within. You got the general public. They're quick to use these motivational quotes, such as, it doesn't matter how many times you fall down, it's how many times you get back up, right? Except if it's Donald Trump. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If it's Donald Trump, then it's only how many times he fell down. Never mind how many times he's rebounded.
Yeah, but look at here. Like, a lot of the people, they're like, oh, he spoke highly of these people. We brought him in. Da, da, da. They're getting busted. They're getting indicted and stuff. And it's like, well, didn't you want that to happen to these people?
Right.
Like, weren't they fucking off? You know what I mean? Like, if you're doing bad shit and you get caught for it, you fucking pay up. You know what I mean? You get fucking caught. Some of these people was treason, dude. You know what I mean? This is punishable by death. But there's that Strzok guy and all that stuff they're talking about. Fucking, we're gonna make sure he doesn't get elected, and we got the fucking I mean, that's some fucking heavy shit, dude. Like, if nothing's happening to him. Like, they're not doing any fucking time. They need to be fucking thanking their fucking lucky stars, dude. I don't know what's going on. I don't follow it that intent, but
It's gotten to the point where
Wouldn't that fucking put you away forever, you know?
it's gotten to the point where a lot of the supporters of the left, it seems to be more prevalent amongst them. They're not even interested in doing what's right. They just want to be right.
Oh,
You
bro.
know what I'm saying? They want to be
Dude.
the winner of the debate, no
Dude, I'm
matter
not gonna,
what the cost is.
I'm not gonna put this dude out there. I'm not gonna put his name out there. But there was a comedian, and back in the elections, people were all fucking getting all high and pious and shit about fucking Trump and stuff like that, about being racist. They're working all that racist stuff, and I would say, hey, in the Klan, and I'd say, just want to point out, your girl Hillary, okay, and her buddy, and even Joe Biden, but your girl Hillary, she was mentored and wrote glowingly and talked about Senator Robert Byrd, and this guy was an exalted Cyclops recruiter for the Ku Klux Klan, and I was like, so you want to say anything about the Ku Klux Klan and a politician? Here you have somebody who, actually worked with and was all about and like was mentored, right? Now here's the other thing. This is what I was getting at though. Do you think that guy actually really changed his fucking ways?
Right.
You know what I mean? When you were a recruiter,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you know? I mean, seriously,
Right.
you're out there preaching, you're fucking feeling it. You know what I mean? To fucking pull them in on right now. A comedian said, "Oh well, he changed and he apologized
Sure.
and right." And I was like, so because this dude's a Democrat, he's getting a fucking pass.
That's it. That's
You
all
know
it
what I mean?
takes.
And he was like, well, it's nothing compared. He never pushed towards hate, and he was a part of the civil rights bill and stuff like that. And I was like, dude, the guy voted against a lot more than he fucking helped out and did. I'm sorry, but at all, the guy wasn't a good guy at all. But this dude from the Ku Klux Klan get to fucking pass because he was and this is another thing that this dude said. He goes, well, he goes, a lot of Democrats back in those days, it goes, a lot of politicians, I think he said, had to be in the Klan in order to get into politics and stuff. And I was like,
Right.
like,
Okay.
bro. I go, to get into? No, man.
Sure.
They were one and the same,
They're the selective outrage. Once again, they get to select which is fact, which is fiction. We're all supposed to believe that the Democratic Party, all of a sudden, they all switched sides, which wasn't even that long ago. I think it was in the 70s, wasn't it, that they switched?
No, I think it was like in the 30s and stuff. And what's crazy is when you talk to a lot of black people about history, black historians, not to say it's black people, but you talk to black historians, they talk about how like before they started voting Democrat in like the 30s, like they were a lot more prosperous than they were after that, and how they are today. They're like kind of getting back to that, but still not the same. And my in-laws, my father-in-law, his dad was he was a Mason, and he I can't remember, I think it was West Virginia and stuff, but him and his dad, his my wife's great grandfather, they were never fucked with the Klan and stuff like that. They were part of like their black Masonic lodge, but they they had business sent their way, but it was like known that they were like racially the lines are definitely segregated, but they did really well. And this was like way back in the days, and shortly thereafter when certain programs were instilled and stuff like that, You said that, or people talked about that hurting the communities, but there was a time where I think, according probably because of the war is why he lost a lot of his business. But any rate, one of the things that I wanted to get at though is the push with the climate change and shit like that, right? The push, like when I was a kid, there was CFCs, right? It's always like it's always this angle about or the ozone and all stuff, right? Well, they got that girl Greta, like I was mentioning, out there in pushing it and really pushing this agenda. But yeah, dude, I was called a. Did I mention this? Fuck, I forget. I was called a Holocaust denier.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I was called a Holocaust denier because of my posting it and anti-Semitic, and the comedian on that one, they erased their post in my reply, and I invited them to come on to the podcast and talk about it because, I was just pointed out that this is similar to that, but they're like, no,
Well,
I didn't know the whole thing with the socialist name and stuff, and I was like, dude, just look at the history, look at the definitions,
well,
and then real quick, and the definitions of things have changed, and a perfect example is the definition of anarchy. Okay, you look in a modern dictionary. I bet you if you look it up right now, you type in anarchy, it'll come up. It'll say like, absence of law or chaos, right? Let's see what it says. Anarchist, a person who rebels against any authority, right? A person who believes and advocates in anarchy and anarchism. One who uses violent means. Okay, that means that is a total lie. Okay, the real definition of anarchy means without political rulers, right? Without kings and queens, like living freely without like government rule and stuff like that. But they interject violence and stuff. So now when you get into when these people over the time, they're learning about left and right politics, they've been giving this whole fucking cockamamie slant on it, right? That they idealize and they basically worship in college and shit like that, right? There's really no conservatism. There's no right leaning on anything in college. It's looked at as white supremacists, even though you have black Republicans and Latino Republicans and everybody else, Asians, all across the board, The Chinese are very adamant, or at least the people from Hong Kong, the people from Hong Kong, they're very pro-fucking America. You just saw what they were singing our national anthem, waving our fucking flag. They were saying they were asking for Trump to fucking, to recognize them and, all that shit, dude. You know what I mean? Freedom and all that stuff, but fuck, I forgot where I was going with that. I'm fucking just flying off the handle, man.
Well, it's like, as a Christian, not conventional Christian, I have faith in my spirituality and my belief in God. But as far as religion, I sway away from that because that's really politics of faith. But when people are quick to point out and there's a lot of bad things that churches have done. I am not refuting that.
Oh, yeah.
They're very crooked. But when I say that those people don't represent Christianity, when I say that those are not true Christians, do not group us all together as one. I'm not a part of what that church
that's a
done.
religion.
Right.
That's not the faith.
Right. And I'm trying to find the comment the guy said when I said, well, those aren't real Christians according to the morals that we are taught and brought up with.
Not the teachings of Christ are definitely not aligned with what goes on in church.
When I bring that up, and it's usually someone from the left who says, oh, no, you're all Christians. It's all blah, blah, blah. Right. And I forgot the term that he used on me. I think it was straw man fallacy. I don't remember what term it was. I'm looking for it right now. But why does that logic that he used in grouping all of us Christians as one and the same, and in not allowing me to discredit those people who do wrong in the church as not true Christians, right? Doesn't accept that.
Yeah, they use it. That's like birds of a feather deal.
But this same person will, when you mention socialism of North Korea, of China, and of communist Russia, now all of a sudden they can say, well, that's not really socialism. It's only socialism by name.
Oh yeah, that's a good point, right?
Right? Why
Yeah.
why does that not apply in my realm, but only in theirs?
Yeah.
Are they not equivalent?
No,
Right?
totally.
How come I can't say, well, they're only Christians by name, but they're really evil people who did evil things only using the Christian name? No, we all gotta be one and the same. But when I bring up socialism, when I bring up the Nazis, it's only by name.
Yeah.
Because clearly they weren't true socialists. They didn't do what the rest of us true socialists believe in. Right?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden it doesn't apply. Right?
No, totally. Yeah. Usually what they say then is like, oh no, they went right wing extreme. That's what they all say. They're like, oh no, they went right wing extreme. They went fascist. And I was like, oh, fascist isn't like people who don't like opposing views, people who don't like you know, personal rights, or property rights. You know what I mean? Like, right to privacy and shit. People.
Well, the left is they have more artists, they have more creative people, they have Hollywood, so their excuses and their ways of deflection are truly the most creative you'll ever hear.
They've cultivated. They've it's very rare that you have people on the right that are in there that are successful, and it's usually they get up to a point where they kind of got like fuck you money, and they can come out and be on the right, but ultimately everybody's on the left. They play to the left. They support the left. They all repeat the same shit, and it's just funny that it's funny. It's like no one's given any critical thought, but they'll fucking vehemently support and fight, and defend, It's like during the election, it's like people defending Trump, people defending fucking Hillary. It's like, you don't know these people, Sam Tripoli would bring it up, and it's the same thing. It's like, I would say the same shit. I was like, dude, you don't know these fucking people. You don't, like, what the fuck do you, quit. Why are you ending relationships? Why are you fucking cutting people off? Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not even looking at these, like, you're not even looking at the character. And it's like, you didn't even look at the character of the person on your side. Like, you should be questioning, you should have been questioning more of her shit than ever what the fuck he did. She was a politician, and made money, made millions of dollars in her politics and in running this organization, this charity, which is always a known scam. They took in all this money. It was a way to fund, to go outside the realm of campaign contributions. Look at all that money that they got for fucking Haiti, and they didn't do a fucking thing, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's a lot that they should be questioning about that, but no. They're gonna get this dude who's been, he's been in the public limelight for a long fucking time. His life has been, heavily scrutinized. His whole fucking entire life, his whole adult career, his whole adult life. And that dirt's been easily to find, and they still never found anything that really fucking sticks that goes with what they say. Like, they never came up with anything. They had to make up. But people defend these fucking guys like they know them, like they're fucking family, like they fucking, like they worked fucking endless hours in creating some shit together, and now they're president, and like,
It's like a new age of McCarthyism where everybody's a communist. Lock him up. He's a communist, but instead now everyone's a racist.
Yeah, you're totally. You know, what's crazy too is and I say this all the time, dude, but it's just about the behavior that's going on. You know, that's like it's what I don't get. I just don't understand, like, some of the stuff people are concerned about, like, they never gave a fuck before, and then when you bring it up, they don't give a fuck now, but they only care, like, what's going on with Trump and this deal, but, you know, like, yeah, the locking the kids up in cages, all those pictures and all that stuff, that was from 2014, that was, like, under Obama shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those conditions, all that stuff they have, that was under his deal, you know?
I tried to point that out.
And Obama has deported way more people than any other president in the history of our country, and he's deported way more than Trump is yet to come close to.
How can anyone chastise Trump, but in the same paragraph, in the same breath, praise and wish for Obama to return to office, knowing that he's done a lot of most of the same things that they accused Trump of doing?
Well, the wars that are going on now, you know, are his and George Bush's wars, right? Those are their wars. Trump hasn't added on new wars yet. Hopefully, not at all. You know, there's no kudos for that. You know, dude, that's a big thing because every fucking president has. And there's been some shit because there's some shit going on, but he hasn't started a new war. Okay, that's a plus. But all the time, dude, people are like, oh, he's fucking racist. And I was like, dude, what about the First Step Act? Like, what about that prison reform, dude?
Yeah.
Like, that is directly helping people to not get a fucking fucked up sentence, a raw dog fucking deal. You know, when they were getting fucked over. Like, that is directly helping the black community. You know, why is black entrepreneurship in for Mexicans and Latinos, why is their businesses up? Why is their unemployment down?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and people will say, oh, it's due to Obama's policies. That's false. CNN, the mothership of news for the left wing, has conceded that was false. They have admitted that it is not because of Obama's policies that our economy is flourishing the way it is.
No, 100%. You know, and well, man, we're still on a house of cards, dude. The Federal Reserve, and you know, I tell everybody, we might be doing good now, but dude, this shit is on credit. Okay, they just unleashed quantitative easing 4. That's like fucking. I want to say they're gonna be printing like $287 billion a day for the next. Whatever, I mean, ridiculous, right? You know, but the thing is right now, that the way things are going, there are more jobs available, and when people are like, there ain't no more jobs, dude, I'm on this this email list, and I just got on there because I wanted to volunteer for a fucking golf tournament. I wanted to be one of those people that stand out there holding a sign, whatever. I wanted to, you know, see what it was about. I just wanted to go. And I got on this email list about jobs. I could email for jobs, and I'm talking jobs, decent jobs that are starting out at like 35, 40K, and then work your way on up to like 60, 70K. You know, after a couple years, whatever, like, and getting decent jobs, like something that I wouldn't want to do, probably wouldn't qualify for a lot of these jobs because they want, you know, college requirements, whatever. That's fine. Not going for a job, you know, of sorts like that. And, but they're out there. And then they got a lot of like regular jobs, no entry level jobs though. You know what I mean? Unless you're like entry level, but you're starting within an organization to move up, like, you know, so there's jobs out there, there's shit like going on, you know, but as of right now, this isn't the worst it's ever been.
No,
but there is, in a sense, in like this the mental psyche, you know, Because there's people who are like so keyed up on looking at racism at everything, a drop of a hat, at racism around every corner. You know what I mean? I got people telling me that they feel, because they're black, that when they're in certain places, they just feel like they're constantly being judged. And I was like, dude, I gotta be honest, man. Unless people fucking physically or like try to intimidate you or say something to you, man, you don't know that. You don't know by how they look.
Right.
You know what I mean? I gotta be honest. Unless they're scowling at you, like it's undeniable. But unless that, man, like, you don't know. But I will say this: if you feel that way, you will look for that, and you will get what you're looking for.
Right.
And there's a lot of times, man, like a lot of your stress in your life is some shit you're looking for that you don't need to be.
Right.
You go looking in your chick's phone, whether she's fucking cheating on you or not, you're gonna find something and be like, what the fuck is this? And then you're gonna go spiral out of control. You know what I mean? Like, but if you did find something, you're like, fuck, man. Well, you went looking for it.
Right.
You found it.
And
now you got to deal with it.
When you try to point out suggestions for solutions for certain ethnic groups, you get met with from a lot of people. Well, you can't speak on my experience because you are not part of my ethnic group.
No uterus, no fucking say.
And I think that's stupid because when something is fundamentally wrong, you don't have to be a certain ethnic group or gender or whatever to be able to point out something fundamentally wrong. For example, I don't need to be the captain of the fire department to point out a fire.
Yeah.
I don't need to be a marine biologist to point out a fish. These are things that are clear as day. You don't need expert analysis to be able to point out what's wrong. You just need a little bit of common sense,
No, totally, dude.
Like we are all humans. I don't want to sound cliche, right? But we're, because they'll say, oh, all lives matter. That's bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what their problem is with that. But, as a fellow human being, it's not that hard. I don't need to be of a certain color or race to point out the errors I see going on in certain communities. I'm a minority myself. I'm Moreno. My grandfather is black. Not African American, but black, like derived from Asiatic African blood. If I pull up a picture for you, he looks like an Aborigine.
Yeah.
When I get pulled over by the cops, a lot of them think I am black.
Really?
Yeah. Or Hispanic.
I was gonna say
or Samoan.
I could see Samoan, Pacific Islander.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we're under bright lights right now, and we're face to face.
Well, just in general, but I got experience around Pacific Islanders and Samoans and Filipinos and shit, dude, my whole life. So.
But if I'm dealing with a racist cop who's never had experience with any of those,
motherfucker, well then I'm black, motherfucker.
Right,
that guy.
You're either white, Mexican, or black.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Guess
definitely.
what category I fall under? you know, that's it. Especially when I'm wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, and your Papa Shango hat over here, dude.
Yeah.
That's some heavy duty equipment you got going on.
Well, 7 chakras, 14 crystals, 2 for each of the chakras.
What chakras?
I don't have the full explanation. I guess your body, your soul has 7 chakras that regulate different parts of your body. Like you have the crown chakra, in the head, in the mouth, the throat, the heart chakra, and then in the gut, and then the root chakra, which is near behind the genital area.
Your anus.
Yep, around there. So different chakras regulate different functions of your body and soul.
Oh, totally. What's that tarot card you got over there?
Well, this is the magician. It's capable of, for me, what it symbolizes is free will. the ability to make anything happen.
Yeah,
It's
right.
on you, having the power to
That's-
control your own destiny.
That's what I'm saying, man. If you go looking for some shit, if you're always fucking miserable,
Right.
but it's like, I get it all the time. I get people on the tours. You've been around these people your whole life, but they're like, oh, I'm always lucky, I'm always winning. Next thing you know, the motherfucker's always winning.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're always fucking getting something. And you got people like, oh, that shit never happens to me. Yep, it's true. It's nothing happen.
Yeah.
That's your body. That's your vibration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're like one of those people, you're like, yeah, no, shit happens. Fucking,
You get back what you put out.
definitely, dude. But you gotta. It's like you have to believe it. It has to. It's true. You have to believe it. You have to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are like, no, I'm fucking lucky. Mm-hmm. And these people, I never fucking.
Mm-hmm.
You got people like, dude, I always win when I play these numbers. I play these numbers, I fucking win. He plays, I used to play these numbers, but they'll stop hitting. So now, that's how that's what you get. I don't know, man. If you go out looking for racism, you'll find fucking racism everywhere you fucking go.
Right.
If you're not looking for that, or that's not your vibration, you got other things on your mind. You're more worried about feeling good. You're just like, no, dude, I'm fucking feeling good. You'll see some fucked up shit, and you're like, damn, this fucked up. Well, whatever. Fuck you. Not letting you slow me down.
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize, like, yeah, there is some shit out there, and there is, but do you got to get hung up on everything? Is it got to fucking bring you down? Is it got to fucking, dominate your whole... I got some people, there's some people, you'll meet them and they'll be fine, and then one thing fucking happens, derails their whole fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
Done. You're not getting them back. You know what I mean? No matter what the fuck happens, not coming back. Let them, got to go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, new person.
It's so easy to fall into that trap. I used to find myself like that in my younger years, and then it got to a point where I realized the power of my own mind and the energy I put out there. So I try as much as possible to surround myself with positive things. I try to sway away from negative music, negative lyrics. I sway away from... You have
changed up a lot, yeah.
I sway away from watching... I used to be a big horror film fan.
Mm-hmm.
I used to like watching, the blood and guts and all that other stuff. I used to like looking at Rotten.com, looking at autopsy photos when I was younger, this is a long time ago. And then it got to a point where it's like, subliminally, subconsciously, this is bringing me down.
Yeah, no, definitely,
this
dude.
Is attracting the wrong kind of energy. So I stay away from those things now. I used to suffer from a lot of anxiety attacks. I noticed it's a combination of things. I try to stay away from oily foods. There's a lot more things I can improve in my diet, but it's a major improvement from how it used to be. That in combination with me not having cable TV anymore, not watching mainstream news anymore, being more selective of the things I view online, I've noticed that my anxiety attacks have drastically fallen from where it used to be every day, multiple times a day, so powerful that it was crippling, that I couldn't even handle being around people or going outside, to now maybe twice, 3 times a year I'll have an anxiety attack. I used to be scared of public speaking. Now I do it all the time. I have no problem with it.
That's good.
I have no problem with making a fool of myself, with laughing at myself.
That's good too.
I was so introverted back then, and I would lash out, Now it's a major improvement, and a lot of it I credit to swaying away from negative things, whether what I listen to, what I watch, the people I surround myself with, I try to stay away from gossip or gossip circles. Back then, I used to want to know everything and anything anyone had to say about me.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought about it, and it's like, but why? Why do I need to know? if it's not true. I mean, yes, there's the nature in us, their curiosity, but then ultimately, does it matter?
Well,
Is it beneficial to you for you to know, or all it's going to do is bring me down?
No,
I'm
totally.
Dwell on it.
No, totally. And here's the thing, man, is that's like that shit's a trap. All that stuff you're talking about, all that shit you want to avoid, or that's a trap. Like, look at social media, okay? Social media is a big one, and it is also in our conversations, and it was also in commercials and stuff like that. The advertisement and stuff, but and I'm talking before the internet. Before the internet, you didn't have it in these ways, but in via news and all that stuff, radio. There's like stuff designed to disrupt the voice in your head.
Yeah.
And the voice in your head, the conversation that you're having in the head, the conversation that you have with yourself, that's where you're actually making things happen. Like, I realize, like, the times that I've had control over that, like, great things have happened or have manifested things in my life, right? Good and bad. But that's that conversation. That really depicts, if you're over there just like, everybody doesn't like me, no one likes me, dude, you'll feel that way around people, and you don't want to be around people, and then they'll kind of be like, why is that fucking guy so standoffish? He's kind of a dick. Da, da, da. Even though you're not, but you're putting out that energy, and people don't want to fucking deal with you now. But everything that was done like before, designed in arguments, right? Way back in the day, some stuff were specifically done to keep you thinking about what happened, but keep thinking you about. It's almost like a shock and a trauma, but you're a disruption, but your conversation is disrupted. You're thinking about that. Oh, you're thinking about what this other person thinks about me. You're thinking about what other people think about me. You're having these arguments and these conversations in your head that aren't even happening. You're having these hypothetical conversations. You're having these outcomes and all stuff like that that's going on in your head, right? And a lot of times you're thinking about in the past. And now what that's going to do is that's going to weight you down. You're thinking about things in the past are going to do one or two things. They're going to make you, one of a few things. They're going to make you fucking think like what not to do and correct it and look at the lesson. Or you're going to feel happy and regale and enjoy the good memory. Or you're going to fucking get stuck in a pattern of negativity of like how it went wrong and what's wrong with you, and you start piling. So that disrupts the conversation of you thinking and planning and, and realizing and telling yourself that, you're great and you're doing great things and, and your next move, you're going to be, you're doing this, or you're envisioning yourself doing your favorite activity in something that you want to get better at. You know what I mean? Like me, I'm obsessed with comedy, telling jokes, but not as much as I'm obsessed with I want to perfect my golf swing. You know what I mean? So I but I'm thinking about those things. I'm getting better at them. You know what I mean? It's stuff that I'm constantly in the conversation of, and I don't allow negativity in. And I'm pushing my way up the ladder. I'm lowering my score. I'm trying to get more money doing comedy. You know what I mean? I'm doing these things, but now you have, right? So you had all these techniques before disrupting you. And then you got sports now, you got music, you have all stuff that's disrupting that conversation. That's now implanting stuff in a sense, right? They're doing these things like with sports. They're giving guys a place where they're not using their testosterone to use a place of testosterone to be like, yeah, my team, cheering, getting drunk, but they're not doing anything creative with that magnificent force that they have. Like that energy is just going into my team colors, right? You know what I mean? Now, sport is magnificent, sport is great, but this glorification and the waste of your energy being overzealous, that's done on purpose, And so, again, a disruption of the conversation in your head. of you thinking about focusing on a project or something that you want to do to better your life, or you want to quit doing or do, right? So now you get into social media, full bore across the board, where now you have these interactions from your friends and these people and these acquaintances and people you're fucking caring about, right? But everybody has this dual identity. So now you're dealing with all the shit on social media, and then you're dealing with strangers when you get into these hashtags and these groups and these different things, right? Or you're touching on stuff. So now you're dealing with, and I get it. It happens to me, You get into these conversations, you're on it, and then you're thinking about that shit fucking later on in the day. You're like, God damn it, dude! Like, I just had some all this shit is designed to get you not creating, not being your true self.
Yeah.
That stuff, I mean, it really is. And some people have found a way to to profit and to be and to do that and to provide a good service or a great, giving out information. We've done a lot of great things with social media. No denying that. But as a whole, when you look at like the way it's designed, like Facebook and stuff, you have those executives that come up like, yeah, dude, we kind of fucked the people. Like, we set this thing up for it to be a drug. Like, this is a fucking drug. And, now the way it's set up is like we can, once we got you like clicked in, we can just start pushing shit and swaying you and getting you thinking and feeling a certain way, And you see it all the time. But I've been really scaling back, I still post a lot, but I really minimize my interactions. I still scroll a lot, but that's also, still scrolling, I'm reading stuff I'm going through, but that's also a way for me to kind of gather information as far as like, joke writing or getting sentiment on how things, so I do try to use that, but it does take up a lot of time. But at the same time, like, I know for myself, I feel fucking shitty with fucking Facebook. I feel fucking shitty. I see so many people on there doing things that I wish I was able to do, but I can't do because I got things going on. But I'm not jealous, but at the same time, I'm like, and then there's times where I know I'm that to somebody else because I'm on vacation taking pictures, and, or I'm doing a show that has a fucking badass backdrop and a sea of people in front of me. Another comic sees that and like, fuck, I'd love to be on that fucking stage. You know what I mean? And I see that in a lot of guys, and I'm like, right on, rock on it. And before, it gives me, it still bothers me because you get caught in your ways. I'm like, argh. But at the same time, I'm like, now especially, I'm like, dude, rock on. I see that's me too. You know what I mean? That's me too. I'm going to have it's going to happen. Like, it's happening. Just got to step in that vibration, but it's happening. You know what I mean? But that shit is designed to fuck us off, dude. Totally. It's designed to fuck us off.
And it doesn't have to, but you're right. It is designed to.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to because it's a tool. So
no,
how you
I
approach
applaud.
it.
I fucking applaud all those people out there that don't comment, that don't like stuff. But dude, here's one of the things, and I just want to say thanks to anybody that's listening still and all that stuff like that. But when it comes to like my Facebook, I get a lot of people coming up to me and like, I love your social media. I love your Facebook. I love the fucking shit that you post. I like your fucking your take on things. They're like, but I can't be liking that shit. I can't be commenting. I can't be like, I'd lose my job or, it'd be like bad. I don't want to be getting into those. And I'm like, I applaud you guys. You are amazing people. I wish I had that discipline, but I feel like I'm so fucking far into shit posting that I just got to keep fucking going. You know what I mean? Until they fucking pull the plug on the deal.
What I will say about my own Facebook is the only time I get negative air or negative energy is if I engage in a conversation or debate, which is always on somebody else's posts. I never get, or almost never get, negative energy when it's my own posts. Because if you look at most of my recent posts, 90% of the time I'm I'm laughing. Because I'll put up dumb shit, stuff that is nonsensical, such as, does anybody have the recipe for the chicken enchiladas from the last Illuminati potluck? Obviously, I'm joking, you know.
Yeah, well.
Or anybody have tickets to the 37th annual Illuminati lowrider show? You know, dumb shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's many different reasons why I put that stuff up. Put a smile on someone's face. You know, I have dry humor. Or a lot of times it's when I'm up in the middle of the night, I scroll through my own stuff and I need a laugh. You know, I'll look up that stuff and I'll just start laughing at the ridiculousness that I post up. The other stuff I put up, I repost science videos of things that interest me, you know, or certain music videos. I've been putting up a lot of Parliament Funkadelic lately because I went to their concert, you know, or photos of me capturing a moment when I was feeling good. You know, It's not always about me presenting stuff to people. A lot of times it's reminders for myself. When I put up life advice there, it's not because I'm trying to be the guru for all people. Hey, listen to me. A lot of times it's reminders for myself. When I get thrown off track, when I'm by myself laying down in the room in the darkness and I decide to scroll through the Facebook, I get reminded of wise words that I shared on Facebook, and it's a message back to myself.
Yeah, see, man, I really, and my wife, she's like, bullshit, fuck up my baby, I have no idea. But I really try to eliminate this fucking being on there. But I'm like, dude, I just bounce from one platform to the next, looking for something for me to like to find a joke about, you know, to find something funny to laugh at or find something. And I'm not looking for in places of humor. You know what I mean? I'm looking for places like of serious stuff. You know, I'm looking in like the crazy shit that they say in like in science blogs, or the crazy stuff that they say in, you know, in business and government and stuff like that. You're like, this is real life shit. This is fucking hysterical because this is completely batshit insane. You know, and I don't know why. I don't know how I you know, I've get turned into this or became this. You know, this is where my humor and curiosity is, but you know, it's a trip. It's a trip seeing all that stuff out there, you know. And
are we gonna get into the lizard people?
Well, I don't think we got that much time, dude. I was gonna say I gotta start wrapping this up, but
Okay.
you know, there's so much to be said about the lizard people, dude.
Well, they say the reptilians were the original Earthlings.
I can believe something like that. I don't know what to say the original Earthlings. I think that they're I think that they're a very close descendant to the interdimensionals that like or they are the interdimensionals, but back they were able to have like a physical form. I think they have a physical form other outside of like a host body.
Well, from what I gathered in my studies of the reptilians, is that they were the original inhabitants of Earth, the dominant species, before humans became dominant. They were the inhabitants of Lemuria and Atlantis, and they had become so technologically advanced. Their heads became bigger than they should have been. They started playing God. And that's why the Great Flood happened, to eliminate them, because they had become so wicked, you know. Them being interdimensional, yes, that was part of their technology. They were able to figure out how to go between dimensions, you know. Supposedly the pyramids were built by them, and the pyramids weren't tombs but rather stargates that they used at first to travel between different planets and part of the galaxies, but then later on between dimensions. You know, that's what I gathered about the reptilians.
Well, it's tough to say, you know. But one thing is like whether they were here first or not, the fact that when you look out through history, how they like there's a lot of reptilian worship. And it's all in the symbolism, and then one day it just stops.
Mm-hmm.
It and it doesn't necessarily stop, but it stops in a way that it's common. Now it takes on the face of like fairy tale and lore, and you know, and turns into dragons and stuff, or solely dragons. But my understanding of the reptilians were they were actually chased out of their solar system, their galaxy, into ours, in a form of pursuit. And one of the things that they did is there was a planet called Tiamat, and it was like pretty much like an ocean planet. And Tiamat was like in between where like Earth and Mars be like, and it was called the second sun back in the day in the ancient times, and because the reflection from the sun with the water that was supposedly on it. This is all like and I don't. This is a tough one for but this was the history that I've read and seen presented a bunch. It makes a lot of sense when tied into the symbology of history and Jesus and all that stuff. But they were chased here, and they set up like on this island a dummy base, right? And this dummy base, they're those that were in pursuit of these beings, these reptilian beings or whatnot. They thought that they had them on that planet, right? So these people, these reptilians must have been so terrible, right? And so fucking that they didn't even want to deal with or be any further pursuit. So they decided to blow up the planet, right? Well, they were supposedly living here on Earth, right? Or not living here on Earth, but made it here to Earth, right? So in that orbit, there's like a bunch of debris that should be that circles around that would say that there would be a planet there. The gap between us and Mars, there should be another planet and all that stuff. They say a lot of that stuff from that planet made it to here. That's why we have frogs. That's why we have octopus. That's why we have like sharks and shit like that. Like that stuff from that ocean planet fucking filled in our planet, broke through our atmosphere, right? And when I say broke through our atmosphere, that's when you get into the that's where the moon kind of gets pulled into things. That's where the moon starts to appear in this history. The ancient Zulus talk about how the gods, the Chitahuris, the reptilian gods, brought the moon with them. But one of the things that they're talking about is those that chased the reptilian race here, what they decided to do was like use like the moon, the earth, and Saturn as like a kind of like a locking system or like a broadcasting system that's like holding it in like a certain vibration. So it's like a prison and you can't like get out, like this prison planet kind of deal, if you will, and they can't get out. And I don't know if the moon's tied in, but in with that, but they say there's a broadcast signal that comes from Saturn and makes a sound, and then they say that the moon is kind of like the frequency, the dial that kind of gets it into, it is what it is, and it gets into all this crazy shit, but then you get into how this was like a perfect homeostasis place, and then you have like the popping of the firmament. You have the great deluge. You have these floods that come in, and that ends up. I don't know exactly at one point and all that stuff, But then you have with the reptilians, what they decided to do was they started using their highly advanced skills in doing genetic manipulation. And one of the things that they did is the reptile that was on the planet, our reptile, what they decided to do after making different versions of man, which is kind of glossed or like slipped in there in Genesis when it says let's remake him, or let's remake man, like we're talking plural of us in our remake him, like in our well, one of the things is like the first group of humanoids that they made with the indigenous people, they had the skills of or the psychic ability, or like the powers of the people on the planet. Like they're kind of more in tune. There's more of a humanity, right? And there was questioning, right? So they said, well, let's get rid of them. Let's remake man in our image, right? Da, da, da. So sending them off over here, you have the when you look at Adam and Eve, you don't look at it as like people. You look at it as like a race of people. You have the Adamic race and the Eves, right? And one of the things is and that's when you kind of get into Atlantis and Samaria. I'm really, really winding down. I'm sorry, but anyways, one of the things is with the reptilians, and they're changing the genetics, and when they make us the version that we are today, this vast version, they put in the reptilian brain. And the reptilian brain is that little brain that's on our brain stem, that's in between our bicameral brain, which is the two big lobes that we have, right? And that's where your fight or flight is. That's where your fuel, your fear, your sex drive. That's where that controls a lot. And the thing is like you can bypass that and do like great things, or you'll struggle with life. But anyways, the reptilian race people, or as the Zulus say, the Chitahuri, they manipulate first man and woman on the planet, and that gets things fired up, so that we got like a disruption there, right? And then they also divide people up and stuff like that. You get into the Tower of Babel and all that shit. But the whole idea was to have us, these people, take care of all the shit that they need while they have to stay here. And one of those things become, when you get into it, gets into blood sacrifice. The symbology and all that stuff ties all the way back to pharaohs and all stuff and all that shit. Whether you believe good or bad, it has to deal with energy. It has to deal with stuff, right? What might be bad for you is good for somebody else. That kind of deal, It's like the soil doesn't care what's growing in it. Right. It's just provide the right shit, whatever will grow out of it. Well, I forgot where I was going with the fucking reptilians and this shit, dude. The blood sacrifice, yeah, that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's actually like that needs to be brought to them, or they. So I mean, it's a crazy thing, but like when you look at the symbology, you look at the people involved, you look at a lot of stuff that goes down. You look at when they do get into, and as even as an investigator, here in town and stuff, and it's all across the country, all across the world, but there are Satanists, there are fucking real shit sacrifices, there is fucking that stuff out there, and it happens a lot more than you fucking think. It's a lot more frequent, and these are people that are paying homage. They're feeding into that vibration, that entity, and in exchange for their soul for temporary dominion over here.
Yeah, material wealth.
Yeah.
These Satanists are real people. When you say Satanists, people are looking for those gothic kids that hang out at what's that store in the mall? With the dark paint and the dark fingernail, gothic kids, right? No, the real Satanists, they blend right in. These are your doctors, your lawyers, your cops, your judges.
Totally, dude.
Sometimes your pastors.
No, totally, man. This ain't like no Rosemary's Baby. This is
right.
That's some real shit, dude. And it's crazy because, people think they're like, oh yeah, no, people can't keep a secret. I'm like, yeah, they fucking can, and they do. Yeah. People fucking keep secrets
to the grave.
Yeah, to the fucking grave every fucking day. I mean, you can just ask if you're not in a dude's fraternity, you ask somebody in the fraternity about like what they do in Russia or anything like that, they ain't gonna tell you shit. You know what I mean? No, you weren't there. Like, fuck you. I didn't go through all that shit to fucking tell you. Yeah. Maybe some. It might be some, but usually they don't.
And there's fraternities at all levels, not just on the collegiate level. There's fraternities within churches. Yeah. The Catholic Church, that's the main church, the main group, but then you have fraternities within that. The Knights of Columbus, for example.
Yeah, the Jesuits and shit.
Yeah, the Franciscans, the Dominicans,
the Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
No, definitely, dude. And but people give into these energies. People give into these fucking to these things. And that's why like a lot of it's like a lot of these people, these rich elite, they do those things because they know on some level that there's a manipulation where they'll keep coming back within like the realm of their bloodline. They'll be within that elite thing, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of them want that transhumanism, because they don't want to come back in like some fucked up body or some shit. Yeah. So they want to fucking try to live forever and you know what I mean? Like, but I know the shit sounds weird to anybody that's like not at all studied in any of this kind of, or like exposed to it, but it's true, when you look at the histories and you look at the just recent histories of like some of the stuff that these people say, what they want to do, it is some fucking far out there shit, and if you know what you're looking for, you're like, they're talking out of this world, like out of this realm. Mm-hmm. But
they want to open the gates of hell, some of them.
Yeah, no, they talk about like having contact with these elite, or these elites having contact with these beings, and that they're doing stuff for advanced technologies, and and it's like, you're fucking crazy. And it's like, no, I'm just telling you what these people have talked about, and other people have pulled up and researched and have these quotes, and
even outside of the secret societies, even outside of all the government secret fraternities and all that shit, even without that, there exists a large portion of the population who just want to watch the world burn. Oh,
yeah, dude. There was that fucking cop, and we should probably wrap it up after this, dude. There's that fucking cop in Florida who would fucking just plant drugs on people and just to fuck up their shit and like arrest them. Dude, they're talking like 230 some or more cases, 240 some cases where they're gonna have to fucking investigate and review and maybe even overturn. But dude, he was just fucking planting meth or crack or whatever, so he's fucking putting drugs on people, some shit he shouldn't even be having, but just because, like, he just had some evil, some spite. But people are losing their fucking kids, they're losing their jobs, they're losing their homes. Fucking guys are going to fucking jail. Probably, who knows, they're getting raped and shit. Right. Fucking fucked up shit, dude. Like, I mean, I can't even tell you the negative vibe that brings up in me, man. Like, it just want you. I mean, you just want the worst, the absolute worst. Like, everything that dude has ever loved in his life, like, just to fucking just be soul crushing to him. You know what? Probably there's nothing that would.
Yeah.
There's probably nothing. This guy's just dead inside, dude.
Just a
You know?
sociopath.
Yeah,
Its
with
truest form.
with a fucking badge.
Yep.
Dude's over here getting awards, fucking planting fucking shit on people, dude. Fucking terrible. I'm just telling you, man, like, fucking ice water enemas. You know what I mean? It's the worst, whatever he could do to this dude. I mean, seriously. Bamboo fucking reeds in between his toenails and shit, you know? Something, bro. God. It's just so bad, dude.
And those people are out there living amongst us.
Yeah, man. Well, King, man, KO, dude, I really fucking appreciate you coming down, dude. Fucking.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. And
It went 3 hours. Over 3 hours.
damn near, dude. Well, I got 2 hours on the ticket, but we've been chopping it up for fucking 3 hours, easy. But yeah, man. I agree. I'm glad we could fucking sit down and chop it up and talk about this weird shit that's out there, you know. You know, the world's wacky, guys, and I tell you, if you learn the symbolism, you know, and you unlearn what you learned in school, you unlearn that shit, and you kind of take life in. It's completely different than what they fucking told you, you know.
Yeah, it is. Because you know what, everybody? I got a confession to make. I'm not really here. I'm an echo from the future. I died long time ago. This is a well thought out echo talking to you right now.
There you go, dude. Where can they find you on social media, doggy?
You can't. I only talk to people I know personally.
All right, well, there you go, guys. Man of mystery. Seldom seen, rarely photographed, and that's not true. I see all the time on social media.
Well, no, you see the photograph.
Yeah.
I'm marked private, and nobody else sees me.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, me, I can't do that. I got to be an open book. I'm all out there.
It's funny because everyone on my list, a lot of them don't realize how private my page is. So they see all my photos. They think everyone's seeing this. It's like, no, you are seeing this.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got attacked from posting that Greta thing on there. I posted a picture of her looking like Randy from Pee-wee's Playhouse. She fucking definitely looks like Randy with that fucking mug. But anyways, well, thanks, man. We'll have it on. We'll have it on back on with fucking Mikey here. We'll be chopping it up, and I'll be fucking more cognizant. I'll be less scatterbrained, dude.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Peace. Guys, you know the deal. You can find us on ThinkStopper.com, ThinkStopper on Instagram, also Trez Mala on Instagram, Easy Bail Bonds. That's Mikey's handle on Instagram. That's at easy_bail_bonds. I'm Trez Mala, social media all across the board. Thank you so much. Peace.
Ah.